crisis in Syria is a pristine reflection of the problems I refer to in Retreat and its consequences. And it's no wonder that 51 members of the Foreign Service and the diplomatic establishment have filed a complaint about it through the dissent channel. In 2012, Barack Obama said that any use of poison gas, I paraphrase, by Assad, the dictator of Syria, would be a grave matter and would cross a red line. Well, a year later in 2013, he did. Assad used poison gas in a city, killing over 1,000 innocent civilians. At first, the president implied we would honor that commitment, and then he backed away from it. When he did so, when it became clear the red line would not be enforced, it sent a message around the world that stunned our friends and allies. It said to them, the United States today lacks power and resolve in a dangerous world. Even worse, it emboldened adversaries and aggressors around the world. Putin in Moscow, Chinese leaders in Beijing, the mullahs in Iran, the North Koreans, and others drew the conclusion that the United States would not follow through on its commitments. For our friends and allies in Middle East, Europe, and Asia, it left them deeply concerned. In Syria, initially after the uprising against Assad broke out, support for moderate rebels might have made an enormous difference. Again, you can't be sure. This is foreign policy making amidst great uncertainty. But since that time, the crisis in Syria has deepened to become an incredible humanitarian catastrophe. More than half the population of Syria, perhaps originally 24 million or so, is now displaced. Millions and millions of Syrians as refugees outside their country, many millions more displaced internally. At least 400,000 dead, perhaps 500,000. Terrible crimes being committed, especially by the regime, but also by ISIS, which jumped into a political vacuum as the United States and others failed to provide strong enough support for the moderate resistance. As this has gotten worse and worse and worse, senior figures within President Obama's own administration, including his former Secretaries of Defense and even former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, had pushed for stronger policies. In each case, the president said no. To the extent the U.S. has intervened, it's been slow, halting, and has been ineffective. That's what drove the response, the criticism by dissenters within the Foreign Service and others who protested about the Syria policy.